This is day 20 and I'm still going. Let's just crack right on with the video. So, your top 4 priorities of survival are knowledge, shelter, fire, and water, in that order of importance, okay? In terms of knowledge, I would never ever advocate that you take an unnecessary amount of books out there into the wilds. It's so redundant in terms of space and weight. However, yes, I would advocate taking the very millennial approach of downloading everything into your phone, your OS maps, and all the knowledge that we'll discuss here. Just make sure you get a waterproof pocket or case for your phone if you're that worried or you're really unsure or unpracticed in this art. Okay, just make sure that you keep your phone safe and intact. Moving swiftly on. The Sas Survival Guide. I've harped on about this in other videos before, so I won't bore you with it, guys. Great all-round encompassing book on survival all over the world. Okay, it will take you from basic bushcraft techniques to advanced bushcraft techniques. It will show you how to identify edible plants. It will show you common edibles all over the world. Great book to have. Now that is followed by Food for Free and Mushrooms by Collins Jen. Again, 2 pocket-sized books that if I decided to, yes, I could just slip into my pocket and take out there with me if I fancied learning a bit more on any particular day. However, like I say, download the stuff into your phone. Those are great books in terms of finding edibles out in the wilds. Highly, highly recommend, so check those out. Another one, Foraging for Beginners by Kristen Barton. Now I have to say the main reason I picked up this book was because of the clear, concise information inside. Very easy to understand, great stuff. I will say, however, that a bit let down in terms of the picture quality. Okay, you've got grey, come on, grey black and white pictures. Some of them are blurry, it's not. Okay, come on, it's a Foraging Handbook. We need this stuff. Okay, so do bear that in mind. Absolutely recommend Not Know-How. Even for the sake of just going through the top 10 essential knots section of this book, it's so good, okay? If you just learned that, you'll be golden, okay? So I would pick up the book just for the sake of that. The Foragers Calendar. I haven't actually read much of this book so far, I've just started. In terms of it being a seasonal guide, that's where the value is in this book, okay? Now you do not want to be spending the entirety of winter looking for an edibility, or rather, excuse me, an edible plant that is only found in summer. Okay, that's a rather painful experience, I'd imagine, so definitely a good one to have there. Another one I've rather enjoyed is the Worst Case Scenario Survival Handbook. I just think it's a good book to have in terms of getting into the right mindset for taking on a survival situation as it should occur. It's got a lot of urban situations as well. Definitely goes in the repertoire of knowledge. 2 books which I'm not entirely sure should be in the public domain, but are. And for obvious reasons, not going to say those out loud. I think they're great books in terms of, well, the obvious, but also understanding the very easily accessible homemade chemical compounds at play. When you start getting a bit more advanced in the realm of prepping, understanding how to do certain things like make a gunpowder is absolutely essential. Understand, gunpowder or black powder is not necessarily just used for bullets. There's hundreds of applications for black powder. So understanding some of these things is a downright essential part of knowledge for something like the realm of prepping. Okay? Moving swiftly on. We have Primitive Technology by John Plant. Some of you may be familiar with the YouTube channel, massively successful. Now in terms of building a forge, that's what this book is great for, long-term survival and doing more advanced projects. It will cover things like making stone tools and sharp cuts and implements. And that, I believe, is where the true value lies, and maybe should have been explored further in this book. In any survival situation on any part of the planet, the most important and useful tool you could have is simply a sharp stone that has been shaped by cracking it off another rock. It is as simple as that. That is where we have built and developed all of our tools from. That is the starting point. Okay? So, it goes in the library of knowledge. Okay, we've covered knowledge. We're now going to move on to shelter. What are our shelter items? I would consider the bag to be a shelter item because it shelters our kit. It keeps it dry and intact, and that kit is what will be used to help us in a survival situation. Followed closely by your sleeping bag, and that is what the system will look like at the end of the day. It is that small, it is that compact, and it is very ridiculously lightweight, coming in at around 6 kilograms at the end of the day. Once all of this kit is in it, it comes in at around 6 kilograms. Okay? So that is the 10 litre Protector Plus, for those of you that really want to know or want to get the exact same type of bag as me. But that's not so important. Get something with webbing on the outside, get something that's around the 10 litre size range. If you're going to try and replicate exactly what I've got, then yes, you will need at least a 10 litre bag. Okay? Moving on, we have the Mountain Equipment Helium 600. Now, it's very, very, very important to know the difference between down sleeping bags and synthetic sleeping bags. This is a down sleeping bag. Down sleeping bags will lose their thermal insulation properties when they're wet. Synthetic sleeping bags won't, okay? For me personally, I love the luxury and the quality of life and the comfort that this sleeping bag provides, okay? It also features a hole at the top of its dry bag, which means it can be very easily compressed and placed down to size. Okay? Just like so. And honestly, that makes life so easy. In terms of actually attaching it onto the kit, instead of going for the conventional strap system, what I've done is simply taken some S-shaped carabiners and put them on the bottom side of the kit there, okay? And that allows me to just attach them to the actual straps on the actual bag. Just there, and just there. So it's very easily and snugly kept on the bottom of the bag. Your following shelter items, and these are, I would argue, your most important shelter items. Your orange emergency survival bag. I like hammock camping, but that sometimes means that if I need to travel up a mountain or over a mountain or anything like that, or I just want to watch the sunset, okay, I will not have adequate cover or protection with this kit. So the very bare basics I will need if I'm caught in the worst situation, a storm hits or the heavens open and rain crashes hard on me, that is what you need, okay? That, preferably in combination with your survival blanket. It's basically a Mylar space blanket. Whether it's lining the inside of your sleeping bag or you're huddled inside of your orange survival bag, the difference in terms of warmth is night and day. It is so different. So I would highly recommend you make sure you get that. Out of all of the kit I have here, that is what I would recommend you have. This never leaves the bag, ever, okay? Unless obviously I really need it. And so far so good. There's only been one occasion on a particularly cold night I've ever actually had to bust it open and use it. Moving on. My choice of setup is the DD Super Light Tarp. And Hammock. That is what I would recommend you go with. Why? The quality of life is insane. I am actually really pleased and happy about this. I have many hammock systems that are literally about 5 times the weight of that. Seriously. And at least twice the size. That's something you can literally just shove in the bottom of any bag. It's just such a great system. It features a whoopee sling suspension system. That might sound a bit complex, but honestly, a few minutes spent with the instructions that come with it is fantastic. Now, to my memory, the Tarp does not come with a sufficient rope or anything with it in terms of hanging it in a variety of ways. So that's why our next shelter item is paracord. Okay, so I take a couple of lengths with me for good measure. Our final shelter item is none other than a dry bag. Okay, as simple as that. Now, why do I bother with a dry bag? It increases my storage capacity, okay? And, as the name would imply, it keeps everything dry, okay? So for the sake of shoving something inside the dry bag, and similarly to the sleeping bag, rolled at the top and secured closed, that is another means of storage for me. You can carry water with it, you can put dirty dishes in it, it's great. The primary use that it finds in my equipment is to house my cooking system. Now, my cooking system features a wire mesh grill which can damage equipment, but we'll get back to that later, okay? Okay, so we've covered knowledge, we've covered shelter. I'm going to briefly tell you about fire and water. Now, I bring several methods with me of fire starting and water purification, which all goes in my, again, technically a shelter item, EDC, that means everyday carry kit, okay? This keeps everything compact, organized, secure. Nothing is littered inside my bag. I don't have any risk of reaching my hand in, cuts, scrapes, losing equipment, none of that, because it's all kept secure. Find yourself one that is very durable. Make sure the material is very durable. And also, if you can, big bonus points, make sure it's waterproof, okay? Definitely recommend. The last thing you want is your gear to become waterlogged or non-functional even. I will cover the contents in a separate video. Excuse me. And I'll show you that because you're going to be here all day, guys, if not, okay? So I will attach a link in the description when that video is done, and then you can see the contents. I'm a little bit dubious about actually sharing that because I'm giving you a lot of information here that's been accumulated over 10 years. I need to have at least something that I can sell the world, okay? Right. Now, moving swiftly on. The other items that I have as part of my kit is the Cabar Becker Bk7, okay? Now, unfortunately, that does not actually fit inside the bag when it's part of its original bigger sheath, which comes out to about there, okay? Maybe a bit more even. So, because that couldn't fit in the bag, what I did is I ripped out the plastic inside and tightly roped through some 550 fire cord through the sheath itself. So now I even have a belt attachment there, okay? And what you see here is essentially just Gorilla Tape that I've wrapped around. It makes sure that those ropes stay on the plastic sheath itself and attached, and also if I do happen to need something like duct tape, Gorilla Tape, I have plenty of it. Yeah, multi-purpose, functional, great. Performs all of the same functions as sheaths should. Fantastic. lightweight, portable. This is how we roll, okay? It's not about look, it's not about aesthetics, it's not about anything like that. It's about function, okay? Nose to the grindstone capability. Moving swiftly on, I mentioned my cooking kit. Don't judge me, guys. It's the last pencil case I had. So this is just a very clear pencil case that lets me see that I've got my wire mesh grill inside there. Through use, your grill gets incredibly dirty. It can get incredibly rusty when it gets wet. So that is basically to ensure hygiene, and it's also to ensure safety. Because the last thing I want when I'm reaching inside my bag for my kit is to jab my finger and get a case of tetanus. Okay? Also, this is to protect items like my hammock, okay? Because my hammock and my tarp sit just next to it, so the last thing I want to do is rip this out of my bag and rip the tarp with it, okay? Expensive kit does not get treated so callously, okay? Furthermore, we've got the Togs Titanium Mug, which is 450ml. Important to know because it fits the clean canteen. Great bit of kit, had this for years, had this for a couple years. They've lasted so many adventures. Get it, they're awesome. This is just an improvised brass wired bail handle. Don't ask me how it's done, I had to figure it out myself. It's ridiculously minimalist and bootleg, but it does mean some extra easy placement and retrieval of this mug from the campfire. Great stuff. Preliminary to the fire starting, I have 10 pegs that I essentially just put in the ground, build the fire on top of, and when the fire burns down and I've got a nice hot bed of ashes, I can place that grill on top of the 10 pegs, sorted. Cooking is an absolute dream. Finally, you might wonder why I've got a ridiculously excessively large sundae spoon just on the side there. And the reason for that is that it's actually lighter, believe it or not. It's lighter than your standard teaspoon, and it also means that I can put it all the way down the length of this canteen for more accurate stirring. Another great use of that is if I do decide to, which I don't really anymore, but if I do decide to go out with pre-made ration pouches or anything like that, being able to take a long spoon to actually just get to the bottom of those pouches is a godsend. I've been there many a time using a tiny teaspoon where your fingers or your hands have to actually go inside the pouch and you get like food on your hands. It's not ideal, so it's also not particularly hygienic. So that is the way I've decided to roll the dice. However, you don't necessarily need to take a spoon out with you. That's a luxury item. You can carve one up. You can just carve a spoon when you're out there, okay? So bear that in mind. In terms of food, I have Co-Fresh caramel coated sesame peanuts. These are absolutely amazing. They are delicious. I also have the Fuel 10K chocolate peanut butter pouches, okay? So these are the main two bits of food that I take out there with me. This is basically just my emergency homemade ration pack. It'll last me a day to 2 days. I will forage everything else and feed myself. So that's basically just an emergency backup, okay? They're not the best in terms of your balanced macros. There's other things you can add to that if you want to balance your macros out more. But that's a bit more in depth. Save that for another video. Other items here include, that is a very, very large sheet of tinfoil, which it comes out to about here, which I've just folded into a neat, tidy square. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. The uses of tinfoil are incredibly vast. So yeah, we'll leave that there. In here, I have essentially what is my take on a more lightweight version of hexamine. So that's Vaseline. I am prone to rather dry lips and hands, especially in colder environments, and in Scotland here it can unfortunately get very cold. And on the inside of my Vaseline tin, I have some cotton pads. Okay, that's about 4 stuffed into there, just on top of the Vaseline itself. And what happens is the very bottom pad that's compressed in there will soak up a little bit of that Vaseline. I can just take it out at a moment's notice, strike my ferrocerium rod and get hot sparks onto that pad and that Vaseline, and it will burn for several minutes. Cotton pads on their own will burn, in my experience, up to 20-30 seconds. So the Vaseline is an amazing upgrade to that, and it functions as well as hexamine does. Arguably better, considering it's a larger surface area and you get a bigger flame. So that is how we now play the game. Luxury items that I take with me, and I mainly do this for the girlfriend. Your Nescafe almond lattes. Okay? Yes, it's excessive. However, my girlfriend, being lactose intolerant, can only take certain types of coffee sachets, so this is how we go with it. The kit is that functional and that effective that it still has space inside of it. So I can fit in the odd luxury item. And that is what I choose to go with. Okay. That covers the majority of kit. Now, for me personally, I have lots of equipment that needs to stay charged while I'm out there, which includes my phone. Sometimes it'll be a microphone or an LED light if I'm filming at night, or the camera itself, which in itself is very small, portable, lightweight. Again, not giving all the secrets away. Some researching you guys are going to have to do yourself. Have to make sure that I still have my unique selling points. And that there is a battery bank. It is quite big, it is quite bulky, but it has an insane storage capacity. I think around 28,000 was to my memory of how much it's stored. Might get back to you on that, guys. I'll look into that. And above and beyond that, I just have a charging cable. Do you know what? You'd be surprised. For the folk that do take out electronics, sometimes they'll come with huge cables and thick cables. So you don't really need that. I mean, great example. Check this out. So that's a very short cable there. And then I just have an adapter. That's it. I don't have a second cable. Nothing like that. I literally just have the adapter itself. So I've got a Type-C as well. Perfect. What more could you ask for, right? Well, guys, that is pretty much all of my survival equipment there. The only contents that I've not covered so far, as mentioned earlier, are in my EDC, my everyday carry kit. Okay? I'm gonna save that for another video. Maybe. Again, need to keep those unique selling points. If you guys want me to, I would consider making this kit for you, with the exception of the books, so that, you know, you can download those yourself into your phone or something like that. I would be happy to make this kit for you, if you decided to pay me for it. But, you know, do bear in mind that this game of survival and camping is ridiculously expensive. But you can avoid the mistakes that I made of just going, oh, well, yeah, I could get the DD Superlight Hammock for like 50, 60 quid, but, you know, I'd rather consider the finances right now and go for like the £15 or £20 hammock. But then down the line, obviously, that's money spent and lost. So sometimes it is best just to bite the bullet, buy the expensive kit, and head on out there. I'm not going to talk for any longer, guys. Thank you very much for sitting through that video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, leave them down below. Hopefully I've helped. Have a great time out there. This kit, in my experience, has led to some of the richest experiences in my life. And I mean that. Sunsets, mountain views, starry skies. This kit has enabled all of that. Okay? Alright, well without further ado, no matter how hard it is, no matter how bad it gets, always remain still going. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Take care until then, and goodbye.